First, let me start, before I ask you what's going to happen in the final episodes and the next season, let me start with a question slash complaint. There was an episode with Linda Cardinelli, Curate Upsum, and the final scene was a cliffhanger. I waited an entire season. Let me restate my question. So in the episode Curate Upsum, at the end of the episode, we don't know what happens. We don't know what happens to the bad guy. Is that going to be resolved, or is there an answer that we just didn't figure out?
I got my start with a movie that had ambiguous ending. So for me, ambiguity has always been like the warm comfort food that I like to come back to. But I think in exploring the idea with that moment is that Reese hasn't really figured out who he is yet, and the audience is asking that question at once. We just felt like any resolution to that question in that moment would be tilting it one way or the other, or would be a disappointment. I think that the show is at its best when it's keeping the audience on uncertain footing. When you don't really know what's going to happen next, and you don't really know where these characters fit in the greater kind of moral universe, and that's what they're trying to figure out for themselves, whether it's Reese or Finch, whether it's Fusco or Carter, all trying to make their way through this universe, make the right decisions. But just because we have ambiguity in the moment, it doesn't mean if you're paying close attention that all the secrets won't be revealed at some point down the line.
So the answer is...
You gotta stay tuned.
Your eyes peeled.
All right. So let's talk about the final 3 episodes. What can viewers expect? What can you tease?
Well, I think, with the backstory of all these characters, they all kind of came in. Some had experienced loss and were solitary figures, and there's been connections as the season progressed. And I think we continue to answer some questions about what happened with these characters and their backstory as we head into the stretch here, but also new questions arise. And I think that's the challenge of the show is like, can we keep the audience in a state where you really think you know these characters, you think you know. You want to know more about these characters, and you do answer those questions, but then within there, new ones arise.
And so for the second season, do you guys have a plan, sort of like where you're going to go and what general direction the second season is going to go into?
Yeah, we got a plan. But one of the fun things about TV is the collaboration with different actors, different writers, presents new opportunities along the way. And with 23 episodes in each season, we get to play a little bit. We get to follow a detour. But we have the larger pieces in place. And it's really all about kind of an evolutionary approach to the relationships within the 4 characters and their relationship with the machine.
The machine in itself is an additional character to the show.
Yep. And
now that the iPhone has a voice, will the machine have a voice?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, one that came up today is no, it's a really, really insightful question. I think that the machine is one that it is a character on the show, and it's one that keeps on giving. And I think it's such a large concept that it's a moral conundrum in a lot of ways. And I think it's something that's here and it's now. I think it's something that we all should step back and say, wait a minute, is that not only possible, but has it already happened?
Oh, interesting. And finally, there's something about the fact that this show could work in any city. It just happens to be in New York. And being on CBS and so many great franchises on CBS, could Person of Interest become a franchise and be Person of Interest LA, for example?
That's another good question.
And you're killing us, man. Come on.
It felt to us like the show always had to be set in New York because New York was kind of in a sense, the epicenter of American culture, but also the epicenter of the modern surveillance state that's kind of sprung up in the last 10 years. Felt like a natural fit, but also to me, a place where every time I went there, I lived in New York for a couple of years, 10 years ago, and every time I go back to visit, I'm always taken with the millions of people who are all kind of piled up on top of each other. All those different stories. You kind of walk down 6th Avenue in that sea of people that we end the pilot. That's the last shot of the pilot and the last shot of the season finale. That kind of sea of people stretching down 6th Avenue. All those different people and all those different stories. So it felt like just the perfect place to tell this story.
Okay. I have one final question for you. If you could take any fictional character and put him as a person of interest in one episode, any fictional character you want, who would it be?
That's a stumper. That's you. That's all you.
Oh, jeez.
Batman? Just throwing it out there.
Oh, it's fictional. That's what I was thinking of television character. You immediately went to comic books. How about Tony Soprano? That's
He would have.
That'd be a great fit. Walter White. I'm always kind of drawn to those morally ambiguous, morally gray characters.
He was probably episode 19 already.
All right, thanks so much, guys.